Please pray with me. Now, O God, either through me or in spite of me, speak your living word, your life-giving word, your healing word of truth and mercy and justice. May the words of my mouth and the meditations of all of our hearts be pleasing in your sight, O God, our rock and our Redeemer. Amen. Gradually, over a period of years, my television viewing habits have changed, and the amount of my viewing time of TV has shrunk and shrunk until it's now practically non-existent, except for unique sporting events like the World Cup and the World Series, or breaking news about truly extraordinary and life-changing events. After all, with the presence of 3 grandchildren living with us, there's only so much SpongeBob or My Little Pony or dramas about teenage angst that a grown man can take before slipping into early senility. On top of which, any shows or movies with adult themes that I might be interested in watching have to be carefully monitored and averted due to said children. But at the end of the day, if I just want something to unwind with, it's Netflix or Amazon Prime or Acorn TV to the rescue, all on my iPad. Or even YouTube with a favorite old TV show. Or one of my new fun things, watching clips of winning acts on America's Got Talent or Britain's Got Talent. Especially ones that are so stunning they earn the judge's golden buzzer, instantly advancing and bypassing the next several rounds of competition. I was absolutely blown away the other day by the performance of a young 13-year-old girl named Courtney. When she first comes on the stage to introduce herself, she is awkward, shy, and more than a little nervous. Nevertheless, there's something endearing and sweet about her, even enough so that the judges do their best to encourage her and calm her down by telling her to pay absolutely no attention to the thousands of people in the auditorium watching her, as if that could possibly help. Even so, as her background music begins to play, we watch Courtney slowly transform into an entirely different person. Someone who totally takes over the stage and makes it her own, both with her singing and dancing the way only a genuine star can do. Her voice and wild, frenetic energy can only be described as the second coming of Janis Joplin. Look it up on Google if you need to. Leaving both herself and her audience stunned and breathless. There's no question that her surprising and amazing performance is well deserving of the golden buzzer, which quickly comes from the very first judge to speak. But it's the conversation with Courtney that follows that makes me think of her this morning. A conversation in which she sheepishly and tearfully confesses that not only did she not expect to win the judge's approval, but that she actually and fully expected to be booed and booted off the stage. Because how could the judges possibly appreciate her quirky, unconventional, outside-the-box performance? It got me to wondering. Even though she expected to lose, to be rejected, perhaps even to be humiliated, what was it about her that caused her and compelled her to go through with the audition anyway? What does it take for a shy young teenager to put herself on the line and risk everything, even though she fears it will all go wrong and blow up in her face? What does it take for any of us, to keep on going against all the odds, no matter how many times we are told to give up, go away, be silent? It's hopeless. In today's gospel reading, Mark gives us two stories for the price of one. Stories that seem intent on crowding each other out and competing for both Jesus' attention and ours. The initial story seems to be the predominant one, featuring as it does a synagogue official, a man whose name is specified, a more dramatic healing with the raising of a young girl from death, and in the end sandwiching and occupying more space than the second story. But it's that second story, the one stuck in the middle, that intrigues me this morning. The unnamed woman at the center of that story, known only by her physical condition and her audacity. She is my hero of the week. In a week in which every day's news seemed to get more and more dire, and a sense of pessimism and despair began to creep in for many of us, I want this woman and her refusal to give up, no matter what the authorities told her. I want her for my neighbor. When the level of distress and worry about the future rise to unprecedented heights, I want this woman to show me how to keep on going. When life's events weigh heavier and heavier on me and seem utterly beyond my control and my ability to cope, I want this woman to sing me her song of hope and teach me the secret of her resilience and persistence. When I'm tempted to throw the towel in and say to myself and others, oh, what's the use? You can't fight City Hall or Congress or the White House. I want this woman to take me by the hand and lead me back out to where the crowd still keeps watch for any sign of hope and encouragement. And whenever I begin to feel sorry for myself and convince myself that God and Jesus are of absolutely no help or use in these circumstances, I want this woman to come and preach to me about the power of faith in God, who not only wants the best for me and everyone, and not only is constantly working for justice and wholeness everywhere, but will not rest or quit until that happens. Naturally, we want to make Jesus the hero of this and every gospel story, and that he is. But so too is this bold woman. Even after she spends all of her money looking for a cure, and even after all the best doctors of her day can't do anything to heal her, she refuses to settle for a life of suffering and misery and hopelessness. If I can just touch Jesus' robe, I'll be healed, she says to herself. And when at last she confesses to Jesus that she is the one who touched him and drew out his power, hear again what he says to her. daughter, your faith has made you well. So what does her faith look like? It's not about sitting meekly and quietly in the corner reading her Bible and saying her prayers. It's about standing up for herself. It's about persistence and resistance. It's about rejecting rejection. It's about refusing to accept the status quo and the voice of others when that status quo and those voices contribute to the suffering of any of God's children. It's about interrupting and pushing her way into a story that could have gone on without her had she not summoned up the courage to exert herself. It's about not apologizing for being an assertive or even a pushy woman. Her healing does not happen because she waits for Jesus to do something, but because she chooses to hope and to act on that hope no matter what. Which is to say that faith is not some kind of passive state of being, but something that finds its footing and proves itself when we dare to rise up and act upon it, despite how bleak or difficult or uncertain things may seem in that given moment. When the way ahead seems stormy and foreboding, when rancor and hatred and discord trample our spirits and the well-being of our community and our nation, when our body politic and our sense of respect and caring and shared humanity are all hemorrhaging, Jesus and this woman both say to us, "Come, follow me." Amen.